Imagine you live in a city with tall walls, a strong navy, and skilled mercenaries. Everyone thinks that you would survive from an attack, but you hear that one of the greatest military general in the ancient world is coming to your city, and you need to evacuate. Honorable judges, Mr. Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow 4-H members, this was the Siege of Tyre. You're probably wondering who is this general and how he got here. Alexander was from a country known as Macedon, a country north of Greece. He had become king at the age of 20 when his father Philip II was killed by his own bodyguards. He was already a great general and war tactician in tactics and formations. Alexander was undefeated at every battle, including the Battle of Issus, the Battle of the Persian Gate, and the Battle of Gargano. With all these great victories, he became Alexander the Great. After the Battle of Issus, where Alexander had defeated King Darius of the Persian Empire, Alexander could not march and kill the king because in the province known as Phoenicia there are 5 important cities, and all 5 of those cities are very rich in economy and have a strong navy. When Alexander marched into Phoenicia, he passed the first 3 cities, known as Arwood, Byblos, and Sidon. Those 3 cities all surrendered. The next city was Tyre. Old Tyre was on the coastline, and New Tyre was a fortress city on an island, 700 meters into the sea. When they heard of Alexander's coming, they prepared for it by ordering their women and children to evacuate to Carthage, a settlement founded by Tyre in North Africa. When Alexander came to Old Tyre, messengers from New Tyre came to greet him. Alexander said that he wanted to make a sacrifice to Hercules in New Tyre's temple. But they said that he could do it in Old Tyre's temple instead, because they sensed Alexander was trying to set a trap, because he was. So Alexander sent his own messengers to New Tyre, demanding that they surrender. The leader of New Tyre ordered the messengers to be killed and thrown into the sea. When Alexander heard of this, he prepared for a siege. He ordered his men to make 2 siege towers and catapults. When he first attacked Old Tyre, it was an easy and fast victory for Alexander. When Alexander ordered the siege on New Tyre, most men didn't know how to attack it, because they had no ships. He ordered his men to make a causeway, using rubble and debris from the destruction of Old Tyre. The Tyrians' defense now fired at the Macedonians with ballistas and arrows on their mighty walls. So Alexander sent his own siege towers, covered with animal hide, to soak up firepower. Because of this, construction went faster. So the Tyrians took a horse transport and filled it with iron powder. They used their ships to tow it, and then lit it with fire and rammed it into the siege towers. Some of Alexander's soldiers tried to take out the flames, but they were killed by the attackers, so they had to retreat to mainland. But Alexander did not give up. He ordered his men to make the causeway bigger and have more siege towers. But he needed to have a navy, so he asked Sidon for help, and the king of Cyprus volunteered to join him. Together, they supplied him with over 200 ships. With this new fleet, he set sail back to Tyre for naval superiority. So now all of Tyre's fleet retreated to their northern and southern harbors. And Alexander gained control of the sea. Now the city was bombarded by catapults on ships. So Tyre went on boat and tried to break the masts and the ropes on the ships, but they were unsuccessful. So Alexander replaced the ropes with chains, which could not be cut by the Tyrians. Now some ships had battering rams, so they started to hit the walls from all sides of the cities. But to use them, they had to use crane ships to remove the boulders in the way. Tyre realized they had to break through Alexander's lines, so they sent a huge rush from their northern harbor. Some ships from Cyprus were destroyed and scattered into the open, but Alexander's ships were able to take them out. This caused a slight downfall in the mighty fleet, and then finally the causeway was finished. Many men tried to storm the main entrance, but it only increased the death of men. Battering rams have now breached through the mighty walls of the great city, and this gave hope for Alexander. So he gathered his Hypaspists, which were Greek squires, and his best Pesitori, which were actual footmen or servants, and there Alexander himself led led an assault to invade the breach. Heavy bombardment were made by the Macedonian catapults on top of the siege towers on the causeway to keep the defenders busy. Tyre was under siege for 6 months, but once breached, brutal close-range fighting only raged for a few hours, and so 6,000 Tyrian defenders were slain, with another 2,000 crucified on the beach of Old Tyre. Some lives were spared because they sought refuge in New Tyre's temple, but another 30,000 citizens were sold into slavery. This was a great achievement for Alexander's army. He became a very famous leader because of the strategies he used to take the city. From the victory at Tyre, he was ready to begin his march into Egypt. And it may sound crazy, but the land bridge between New Tyre and Old Tyre is still here today. It even has buildings on it. Because of that, it changed the way the water flows in that area of the Mediterranean. Alexander is still known for his military skills, including formations, which are still taught to modern-day soldiers, even now, more than 2,000 years later.